So today we're having a conversation about one of the biggest areas of problems, trouble, confusion in businesses today, and that is finding the right staff, finding the right people to work with, to grow and expand a business, grow and expand an enterprise, and be successful together. So this is a conversation with myself, Martin Matthews, and David Lee Jensen.
Well, man, here we are.
So we're actually here in David's studio, and our company and his were forming a strategic partnership, and he's got a phenomenal background in business, has led companies, very successful companies at very high levels, and he is the CEO of Jensen Business Advisory, and he's the author of this book, one of his books, Naked Interview: Hiring Without Regret. So the other day you did a fantastic event workshop that we came to.
It was pretty good.
It was really good.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so you addressed it was the ultimate interview and hiring workshop.
Yeah.
Which I've gone to different workshops, I've gone to different events that have make big claims, for your workshop actually really delivered on that. So
was it the ultimate?
It was the ultimate.
The ultimate. Awesome.
And so tell why don't we just talk a little bit about the workshop? What was the purpose behind doing it, and how you put that together?
Cool. Thanks for coming in, and really you're going to see things come from this partnership in the future that are going to blow your mind. It's going to be really, really cool. Yeah. We can't say everything today.
Absolutely.
But we can definitely say that we can help your clients with some hiring issues and other things to expand their business, have a brighter future, which you guys are already giving them a good solid financial platform for, which you've got to have that first before you do anything, I've found. So I love what you guys are doing. You and Chelsea, who's not here today. And with regards to hiring, I find that every and any problem in business leads back to a bad hire, leads back to somebody you brought on that didn't understand what the task was that they were supposed to accomplish, or along the way they got stumbled up and didn't, they weren't able to perform. And some people have argued with me on that. They've been like, no, that's not the case, right? Like, it's not just people, it's also this, that, or the other. Great, yeah, marketing cannot, work out, lead generation, salespeople can have low percentages, this, that, and the other. But every single one of those things leads back to personnel. It leads back to somebody who's been given that function to accomplish those duties and then haven't done so.
Yeah.
And so if you can just get the right hire who's going to take full responsibility for an area and going to grow it and going to be aligned with your vision, then now you can really cook with gas, as they say.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So on this, now we've hired people who were great, and we've hired people who were not so great. And one of the things you went through on this during the workshop was you were asking somebody, when did they know that person wasn't going to work out?
I love asking that to business owners. I'm like, all right, look, close your eyes for a second. I don't want to be all woo-woo or whatever, but think back to the last person you had to fire. And they go, oh, yeah, great. When was that? Oh, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Great. When did you know it was going to go wrong? And ask yourself there, out in the audience here, when did you know that guy, gal, whoever wasn't going to work out? And most people, instant response is something like, oh, right before the big flap, whatever went wrong, right? And I'm like, okay, I understand. When did you really know? And they go, all right, well, about 3 months ago, there was this other little incident. Great. How long has he been with you? Oh, 4 years.
Yeah.
Good. So think back. Was there another time where you thought this wasn't going to work out? And they're like, yeah, about 2 years ago, there was this kind of, bigger issue, and I almost thought I'd pull the trigger right there. Okay, good. Now, I don't want to, force you too badly, but think back even further, right? And literally 8 out of 10 times, somebody will say, oh, in the interview, this guy picked his nose, or, called his mom to say he was going to be late, or, and she should wait in the parking lot where she brought him to interview, right? 45 years old. The kid, not the mom. And so these types of things give you, that kind of, your hair stands up a little bit, your spidey sense goes off, and you know there's something wrong, but it violates what we go over. I go over 10 truths of hiring success, as you heard, right? Yeah. So the first truth is be diligent, not desperate.
Yeah.
Be diligent, not desperate, which some people, shorten to be hire slow, fire fast, or something of that sort.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you're desperate, if you have to have somebody right now, because you are overwhelmed and too busy and too disorganized, you have to hire somebody right now, then the first person who walks in with a big smile and a handshake, you're hired, right? On the spot. And I say, look, your business is like your home. Would you give the front door key to your home to the first person who walked in with a smile and handshake?
Definitely not.
Probably not, and I hope you wouldn't either, right? So then there's all these other steps you should go through to ensure that this person is worthy of a front door key, because your business is your home. It's your second home anyways. Spend a lot of time there, a lot of effort, a lot of create. And so that kind of is a full circle answer to what you're asking. Business owners need to be diligent, not desperate.
Yeah. It's something that Chelsea and I have talked about when we've looked at, that little thing that person said, or they talked back a little bit. That was odd. Whenever we traced it back, there was always a point in the interview process. Yeah. Even if they've gone through more than one interview, there was a point we could point to. And we're like, we both... And most of it is that we both knew something was out. And we're like, okay, well, everything else is fine, but this one little thing. And so we, excused it. We're like, okay, well, we need somebody
but you
here.
Didn't bring it up, so then she didn't bring it up. And then she didn't bring it up, so you didn't bring it up. And then later it was like, you had that thought, I had that thought.
Yeah, remember that time? Remember that first thing? It was a little bit odd, right? Yeah, so...
I was going to say something, but you didn't.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not just... finding the right person, is also not allowing the wrong people in.
Right.
So it's having a process. And so this is some of the things you went over. I like the first one. What's another point that you see that business owners skip over out of the 10 points that you listed?
Checking references is probably, how many of y'all out there check references? Okay, I can't see your hands, but I know 9 out of 10 of you just raised your hands saying you don't check references. And that's a really key thing. But I found, when I started asking people, I was like, why don't you check references? Why don't you check references? Why don't you check? And I started asking people, business owners said that, especially HR people, not just the business owners, but the people who were tasked with doing it, they would run into a brick wall. And that's because there is this assumption that legally you're not allowed to ask anything about the person, and certainly legally you're not allowed to say anything about the person. So this guy could have come to your company and burned down their break room and got fired with cause. Yeah. But when somebody calls to check a reference, yes, Thomas was here from November till January 23 to 24, and he was making $17.50 an hour. Yeah. And he said, well, what kind of guy was he to work with? What was it? I'm sorry, I can't answer those questions. And they think this is a legal thing. Now, I'm not an HR attorney. I don't give, out attorney advice. Don't be, sending out letters saying, this isn't true. This, if you are an attorney or a judge or something like that, please research for yourself, find out from for yourself. But as far as I know, as far as I've seen, my opinion is that that's not the law. And what it is that companies set up to not get burned. Yeah. And so they set up and they say, hey, people are going to be asking you for reference checks. You can say nothing. Just say when they started, when they ended, and how much money they were making. Do you understand? Okay, yes. So now you get stuck in this position where you're not allowed to say anything. And then when you, as a business owner, want to hire somebody, it makes a big, huge difference to you.
Definitely.
Knowing, are they, would they be rehired? Would they, were they a great person, but they wanted a better career? Why aren't they working there anymore? You just want to know that. And so the way you get through that, our little secret, and it's written up in this book, The Naked Interview, Hiring Without Regret, and it's a part of exercises and drilling on our Hiring Academy platform courses. You have to push that person. You have to grill that person. You have to just keep asking reference check questions that get you through that barrier. So if someone was saying to me, he worked here these hours, he made this much, and that's really all I can say, I would say, look, I'm an entrepreneur. This is a new business. I've got kids at home. I'm relying on this. I don't want to bring in somebody to my business, my livelihood. Couldn't you just help me out a little bit? Was he a good guy or not a great guy? Did he get along with others? Is he somebody you would take to a barbecue?
Yeah.
And what happens is they start to be a little bit more empathetic, and they go, well, I didn't say this, but he's actually a wonderful guy, and we wish we could have him back. He left because of an argument with his VP, And so now you've got some more information. Now you bring him back in and say, hey, so I heard there might have been some people you didn't get along with. Why is that?
Yeah.
And now he can tell you the truth, and now you make your decision based on that. But maybe you didn't know that he burned down the break room, or that he was, leery in the workplace, or any of these things. You got to find those out on reference checks, and that's super important. And by the way, you don't talk to his cousin Harold either. You have to make sure you get somebody you worked with or studied under.
Harold's been prepped on what to say.
Harold knows what to say. And it's funny you say prepped what to say. AI, right? Yeah. Everyone's using AI now. So if you were coming in for a job, say with my company, what would you do with a speaking, consulting, hiring company? What kind of questions are going to come up? AI is going to give you a whole bunch of answers. And guess what? Our team has already prepared those questions off of the same AI you have. So we ask you an AI-based question. You give us an AI-based answer. Guess what happens? Everything's like, smelling like roses. It's all great. And you get hired. Unfortunately, that wasn't what we really needed to know. And that wasn't what you were really prepared to understand in the workplace.
Yeah.
So you start working, you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, but wait, you said this, right? So I like to throw oddball questions in there that just throw someone off completely and make them think on their feet and be, an authentic, genuine person.
Yeah.
And then that makes for a long-term connection. That helps start creating a culture right from the interview before they're even part of your team.
Yeah, exactly. So, we've had good people come in, not so great people, and it was really developing that skill set. Now we've developed more and more to really understand what to look for, who to hire, and there's been people that we've let into our company who we should have fired the first day. One, it should have never been hired, and then the first day to show up late and not in a good situation. It was like, okay, this person should have totally never lasted beyond, should have never made it through the interview process. And so that happens a lot with business owners that we see.
And why?
They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the know-how of what to do with it. So they make these mistakes. Like we didn't know. It was before we hired a lot of independent contractors. And then we got to a point where we're like, oh, we need to bring people in-house. So we started hiring for all kinds of different roles we never hired for before. Hired for content person, for in-house marketing, all these different roles. And we had not hired for those roles before. So then we had to write down job descriptions. We had to go through a process of how do we determine the right person.
Which is good. Some process is better than no process.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But why'd you make that final decision when you knew already in your gut that wasn't a right hire?
One person comes to mind. We needed somebody at that point. So it was like, okay,
You were desperate?
Yeah, we needed somebody at that point. Just like you said, be diligent, not desperate. And this person seemed to check all the boxes. And one thing we did actually that was different is we had a process where we would do 2 interviews. There's a first interview.
Good. That's
something you talked about, and you're just like, definitely.
2 interviews, 3 interviews, 4, whatever it takes to make sure that I say one of the truths is personality is found second time around.
Yeah.
Because sometimes somebody comes in and they're all in like a 3-piece suit and they're, oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And then the next time they're like, what's up?
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's the real personality.
What happened, right? That's the real personality comes out. True.
Yeah. So one of the things we did was we didn't do the second interview. We did, and we was always in person. This was when it was like you're coming to an office. This was in person. So we did this first interview.
Pre-COVID.
We did this first interview via Zoom. And then you couldn't really, one of the reasons we did it in person is like we want to see, is this person going to arrive on time? Are they going to be ready? Can they find the place okay? Can they follow directions? That sort of things. All these are little tests that we would do. And in this case, we're like, oh, we need somebody for this role right now. And so we hire this person through the Zoom interview. and we usually would do like some kind
So
of
you
a
broke your
technical-
own process.
Exactly. And that was not good.
That was a
Let's just put it
mistake.
that way.
Yeah.
So
And hiring mistakes are expensive. I mean, you're a
Absolutely.
finance guy,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
have you seen the cost on a balance sheet of like, wait, what happened here? Now they're advertising for another position.
Yeah.
Now they're spending on training. Now there's overtime incurred. There's all these different things that
Yeah.
occur trying to take somebody through a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had a few people, who rebuff that and they're like, oh, well, I'm hiring on Upwork or something, or so, it doesn't matter because there's not a long learning curve. But if you're translating to a remote worker, or virtual assistant, or AI, based employee or whatever, you still have to explain everything to them.
Yeah.
You still have to give them direction of where you're going. And that is costly to do over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, one of our clients, we're really blessed to have some franchise holders of Domino's Pizza, right? We also have McDonald's and Subway and, Victoria's Secrets and all these other great,
Nice.
franchise locations. However, when we did so, we did the research. Do you know how much it costs for the turnover of just a driver, just a delivery driver for Domino's?
how much?
$5,000.
Wow, just the guys driving to deliver the
Just
pizza.
the guys who drive, they're making, $9 an hour or something
Yeah.
like that, plus tips. They have a very short training period because it's basically like, good, here's the bag you're going to use. Here's, how to receive the orders. Here's how to, deliver them. Here's what to do in case of, traffic or emergency. I mean,
Yeah.
they teach them a whole bunch of stuff. There is a training to
Yeah.
it, right? And then, what do you do with an irate customer if you get there late and they're upset? There is a whole training. But the cost to list the advertisement, whether that be, Monster Jobs to Indeed, depending what generation you're from. And then there is the interview process.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most expensive things. And you have to do multiple interviews.
Yeah.
You got to do it with the shift supervisor and with the store manager. And you've got to ensure that this person, especially when they're driving, God forbid they hit somebody in a crosswalk.
Yeah.
That's your employee. That's on you, right?
Exactly.
So you have to do a good vetting process. That time and money adds up. And then as soon as they then quit, now you have to do that all over again. Right?
And you're not
And
really
so it
looking
adds
forward
up
to
really
that.
fast. No, you're not, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's
a
costly.
lot more expensive for a manager or a store person, but that's just the basic start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why one got to get the book. So how can people get a copy of this book?
It's on Amazon.
Amazon.
We were really blessed at Amazon #1 bestseller back in 2012.
Wow.
And it's still been selling ever since. We've been really fortunate to be able to travel the world and talk about the hiring process and help people restructure their hiring processes in their business and therefore then increase their profitability, which ends up in your corner.
Yeah.
And you're able to help them see how they can distribute profits more smartly and with less tax problems and for investments for the future as well.
Yeah.
Because as you spoke with me about putting aside something to continue to save for a rainy day is one of the smartest things you can do financially.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we're doing strategically with you is the business situational analysis, where companies can actually look at what they're doing in different areas of the companies, and then there's a solution on how they can improve that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, because
Okay.
we want our clients to participate in that, and we've got a special offer for them.
Oh, okay, great. So the BSA, I call it, the Business Situation Analysis. What it is, it's a questionnaire for business owners. We only do it with business owners. We don't usually do it with senior executives or with just regular employees. And the reason is because it expresses the true scenario that's occurring kind of behind the curtain, right? And so we find out about profitability and strategy and about human resources and about quality control and delivery and sales and marketing and public relations, like all these areas of the business. It's about a 45-minute to a 1-hour interview with a very specific set of questions that are then graded into a visual representation where we can sit down with you. And it's funny, I've had people literally go, "What? How did you know that about my business?" and run out of the room. One, I actually had, which I know I told you and Chelsea, one had really high finance knowledge and ability and this and that and the other, but really low profitability. And and we could see through some of the actions in the organization that someone was embezzling from the company, because otherwise they would have better profitability, this and that and the other. And that person turned like, white as a ghost and literally ran out of the room. So I think through our analysis, we uncovered someone who was embezzling. It was kind of crazy, right? But that's a side story. Most of them, they go through it, finds their strengths, it finds their weaknesses. Sometimes you know it. You look at the graph and you go, yep, I knew that our marketing was, very poor and that our sales was very strong, so we just need to up our marketing. Great. Why haven't you done that? Okay, good. How do you put in a system, a process, a procedure to help you accomplish the goals you want so that everything in your organization is expanding? Because some business owners say, oh yeah, we want to expand. Oh yeah, we want to be bigger. Oh yeah, we're doing 4 million and we want to do 14 million. And really they don't. They've got this kind of push-pull where they get in this situation of they have to expand. They know they have to expand, but they don't really want to expand because it's going to mean more overwhelm for them, more pressure on their shoulders. And we help them develop systems and processes so that that never occurs, so that it's actually easier to run a larger business with more locations and more employees and more expansion and more profit.
Absolutely.
Without further overwhelming them or giving them more responsibility in their company. And that's kind of the joy of why we do this in the first place. I was really blessed to grow a company to, from 25 million and a dozen employees to $2.5 billion in sales channel with over 200 employees. And I've seen the transformation and what it allows you to accomplish for your own life, and for your family and for your employees and for their families and for all of your clientele. You can do some really great things if you just are willing to look at what's wrong with the company, tweak it a little bit, look at what's right with the company, pour some gas on that and expand it even further, and then, being willing to expand. That's the most important thing.
Awesome. So I want you to comment letters BSA for Business Situational Analysis. BSA, comment that, and then we'll get you a link of how you can
we
get
can do this for your people. We can do it free of charge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a $9.97 value. We will set them up, sign them up, put them into the pipeline, allow them to learn about their business with no obligation, free of charge. Why do we do that? We do that because we have great strategic partnerships. We want to see people expand. My purpose is to increase the production and prosperity of the world, right? And I see that being done by entrepreneurs like yourself. And I just want to see more and more of that happen, because then the world will be a little bit happier place and a little bit more prosperous, and people will be able to help each other a lot more, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So make sure to take advantage of that. Comment BSA, and we'll get you more details on there, and you can take advantage of that right now. So I want to thank you, David. We're going to keep having these conversations because there's a lot more to say on this, a lot of things you can do to help business owners that I've seen. So, I look forward to continuing working with you on
Let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.